Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you find yourself reaching for a word that just won't come to mind, even though you know it's right there, on the tip of your tongue. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone. These little memory lapses can feel frustrating, sometimes even a little scary. But here's the good news. Many of these changes aren't just a part of aging. In fact, some of them could be linked to the foods you're eating every day, without even realizing the impact they're having on your brain. After 60, your brain deserves a little extra care. It's been working hard for decades, learning, processing, remembering, guiding you through life. And just like your joints, your eyes, or your heart, your brain is deeply affected by the fuel you give it. That's why today we're going to talk about something most people completely overlook. 6 common foods that could be silently aging your brain. These aren't exotic ingredients or rare snacks. These are things many people eat daily, believing they're harmless or even healthy. But some of these foods have been linked to inflammation, cognitive decline, and even a faster drop in memory function. If you've been feeling foggy, forgetful, or just not as mentally sharp as you used to be, this might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. So let's dive in. And don't worry, I'm not just going to tell you what to avoid. I'll also share simple, doable swaps to keep your brain healthy, sharp, and strong at any age. Let's start with a big one: processed meats. I know a slice of bacon or a juicy sausage can feel like a little treat. But here's what's really going on behind the scenes. Processed meats are packed with preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, which may help keep the color and flavor looking good, but they've also been linked to oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain. Over time, this kind of low-level inflammation can add up, potentially damaging brain cells and affecting memory and focus. And it's not just bacon. Cold cuts, hot dogs, deli meats, anything smoked or cured, they all fall into this category. Now, I'm not saying you need to give them up forever, but cutting back can make a big difference. Instead of reaching for that ham sandwich, try grilled chicken or a tuna salad made with olive oil and herbs. These kinds of proteins fuel your body and brain without the added toxins. Now, speaking of inflammation, there's another food that loves to stir up trouble: refined sugars. Yes, the sweet stuff. Cookies, cakes, candy, soda, sweetened cereals. They might bring you a quick rush of energy, but they leave behind a crash, and over time a trail of damage. Studies have shown that high sugar intake can impair memory and learning, and it's been linked to a greater risk of developing dementia. Your brain is incredibly sensitive to blood sugar spikes. When you eat a lot of sugar, your insulin goes up, and over time your cells, including those in your brain, can become resistant. That means they stop responding properly, and things like focus, mental clarity, and even mood can start to suffer. You might notice you feel foggy or irritable after eating something sweet. That's your body telling you something. Now, don't worry. I'm not here to tell you to live a life of bland meals and no joy. You can still enjoy something sweet, but the trick is to be smart about it. Swap refined sugars for natural sweetness. Fresh fruit, a little bit of dark chocolate, or even cinnamon can satisfy that craving without wrecking your brain health. And if you're someone who enjoys baking, try using mashed banana, dates, or unsweetened applesauce to add sweetness in a more natural way. The next one might surprise you because it's often found in products labeled as healthy vegetable oils. I'm talking about soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. All of these are commonly used in cooking and processed foods. The problem isn't the oil itself, but the high amounts of omega-6 fatty acids and the way they're processed. These oils are often chemically extracted and then exposed to heat, which can create harmful compounds. When you consume too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s, it throws your body into an inflammatory state. And again, that inflammation doesn't just affect your joints or your gut. It can damage the delicate tissues of your brain. The result? slower processing, mood changes, even an increased risk of cognitive decline over time. So what can you do? First, check the labels of the foods in your pantry. You might be surprised how often these oils sneak into things like salad dressings, sauces, chips, and even health bars. Then, start replacing them with better options: extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or even a little butter or ghee from grass-fed cows can be healthier choices when used mindfully. These fats support your brain instead of fighting against it. Now that we've talked about processed meats, refined sugars, and vegetable oils, you might be wondering how many of these are part of your weekly meals without you even noticing. The truth is, most of us didn't grow up learning how to eat for brain health. We ate what was available, what was affordable, and what tasted good. But now, with just a few small adjustments, you have the power to protect your brain, feel sharper, and stay more independent for years to come. And isn't that what we all want as we age? Not just to live longer, but to live well, to remember names, to follow conversations, to enjoy the little things without worrying if our mind is slipping. It's never too late to start making smarter choices. And the changes don't have to be drastic. You don't need a brand new diet or a fancy meal plan. You just need a little awareness and the willingness to take a few steps in the right direction. So now that we've taken a closer look at some of the everyday foods that may be doing more harm than good, let's keep going. Because we're not done yet. We've already uncovered some sneaky brain-aging culprits, those processed meats, sneaky sugars, and inflammatory oils. And the truth is, just cutting those out can already make a noticeable difference in how you feel. Clearer thoughts, better focus, even improved mood. But there are still a few more foods that deserve your attention. Because what you put on your plate every day is either helping your brain stay sharp or slowly wearing it down without you even realizing it. Let's talk about white bread and refined carbs. I know that warm slice of toast or a soft dinner roll can be comforting, especially with a bit of butter or jam. But what most people don't realize is that foods like white bread, pasta, and even many breakfast cereals are rapidly broken down into sugar once they enter your body. And as we already talked about, sugar spikes can be brutal on the brain, but it's not just about the sugar. These refined carbs have been stripped of their fiber and nutrients, meaning they don't offer much in terms of brain fuel. Instead, they cause your blood sugar to swing up and down like a roller coaster. You might feel energized for a short time after eating them, but that energy fades quickly, often leaving you feeling sluggish, foggy, or moody. Over time, that kind of instability can affect memory, focus, and even your risk of developing conditions like Alzheimer's. That's not just speculation. There are real studies showing a link between diets high in refined carbs and cognitive decline. So what can you do? Well, it's simpler than you think. Start by swapping white bread for whole grain or sprouted grain options. Choose brown rice over white, oats instead of sugary cereals. And if you're craving pasta, try lentil or chickpea pasta. They taste great and provide more fiber and protein to keep your brain and body steady. Now, another food that might seem innocent, but has a hidden dark side for brain health is margarine and fake butter spreads. For years, people were told to avoid butter and go for these healthier options. But many of these spreads are made with trans fats or partially hydrogenated oils, and those are some of the worst things you can eat when it comes to brain function. Trans fats are notorious for increasing inflammation and oxidative stress. They don't just harm your heart, they've been linked to poor memory, slower thinking, and even brain shrinkage in some studies. Imagine that. Something as simple as what you're spreading on your toast could be silently aging your brain over time. The good news is that most brands have removed trans fats, but some still sneak them in using clever labels. So, check the ingredients. If you see partially hydrogenated oil listed anywhere, it's best to leave that item on the shelf. Instead, go back to basics. Real butter in moderation, especially if it's from grass-fed cows, can actually support brain health thanks to its healthy fats and fat-soluble vitamins. Or try avocado spread, nut butters, or even a drizzle of olive oil with herbs. All right, I want to bring up one more surprising one before we move on. This one often hides in plain sight, especially in seemingly healthy products, artificial sweeteners. Now, I know many people turn to these as a way to manage weight or control blood sugar. You'll find them in diet sodas, sugar-free yogurts, low-calorie snacks, things marketed as healthy alternatives. But here's the catch. Many artificial sweeteners, especially aspartame, have been linked to changes in brain chemistry. Some research suggests they may disrupt the balance of neurotransmitters and even affect mood, memory, and learning. Not to mention, they can also mess with your gut microbiome, which plays a huge role in brain health. That means something as small as a diet soda a day could be contributing to that foggy feeling or the dip in mental sharpness you've been noticing. Now, I'm not saying every artificial sweetener is evil, but it's important to be mindful. If you're using them regularly and also struggling with memory or focus, it might be time to take a closer look. You can always try cutting them out for a week or two and seeing how you feel. Many people notice a difference in just a few days. So what's the better option when you want a bit of sweetness without the risks? Try stevia in its natural form, not the overly processed blends. Monk fruit is another great option. Or, honestly, train your taste buds to enjoy less sweetness. Add cinnamon to your coffee. Use fresh fruit to sweeten yogurt or oatmeal. Sometimes your body just needs a little time to adjust. And once it does, you'll notice that your cravings change, and your brain will thank you for it. Now, let's take a breath. This isn't about fear or guilt. It's about awareness and empowerment. You've made it to a point in life where you deserve to feel your best, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The foods we've talked about today aren't villains to fear, but signals. Little reminders to pause, take a look at your habits and make the changes that serve you better. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Because when you choose foods that support your brain, you're not just protecting your memory, you're preserving your independence, your confidence, and your ability to enjoy the life you've worked so hard to build. There are still a couple more brain-aging foods we need to talk about, and I promise they're just as important. Maybe even more so. You've done an amazing job sticking with me this far, and you're already ahead of the game by simply being curious and open. Let's keep going. You're going to love what comes next. You've already taken in a lot, and if you're starting to connect some dots about how the foods you eat every day affect how you think and feel, well, that's powerful. Remember, your brain is constantly working 24/7. Even while you're sleeping, it's cleaning, storing memories, organizing thoughts, and keeping everything in balance. So the better we feed it, the better it serves us, not just today, but for the years to come. Now, we've already talked about processed meats, sugars, refined carbs, vegetable oils, artificial sweeteners, and margarine. There's just one more food on this list that often flies under the radar, and it's one many people over 60 turn to without thinking twice: alcohol. Let's be honest, alcohol is one of those topics that can make people feel a little defensive. It's just a glass of wine, we say, or I've been drinking this way for years and I'm fine. And yes, for some people, occasional moderate drinking may not seem to have any noticeable effect. But here's the reality. After 60, your brain's tolerance and your body's ability to process alcohol change significantly. What once felt harmless might now be quietly doing harm in the background. As we age, our liver becomes less efficient and alcohol stays in our system longer. The blood-brain barrier, the protective shield that filters out toxins from reaching your brain, also becomes more permeable. This means alcohol can slip through more easily, affecting your brain's delicate chemistry. Even just one drink a night can begin to interfere with neurotransmitter activity, reduce the quality of your sleep, and worsen anxiety or depression, all of which are deeply connected to memory and mental sharpness. Have you ever noticed that you feel a bit more foggy or forgetful the morning after even a small drink? That's not your imagination. That's your brain under pressure. But here's something most people don't realize. Alcohol's biggest impact on brain aging isn't always immediate. It's cumulative. Over time, frequent drinking, even moderate amounts, can lead to a measurable loss of gray matter. That's the part of the brain responsible for processing information, making decisions, and storing memories. When gray matter shrinks, your ability to think clearly and remember details shrinks with it. There are even studies now linking regular alcohol consumption to a higher risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's not just heavy drinking that raises those risks. Even low to moderate drinking, done consistently over time, can slowly wear down your cognitive resilience. So what's the solution? It doesn't have to mean giving it up completely, unless that feels right for you. But cutting back, creating alcohol-free days, or even switching to relaxing alternatives can make a real difference. Herbal teas like chamomile, lemon balm, or rooibos can help calm your nervous system without the brain fog. Or if you enjoy the ritual of a drink in the evening, try sparkling water with lemon or cucumber in a fancy glass. The ritual stays, but the damage doesn't. And here's the beautiful part: the brain can heal. It has an incredible ability to bounce back, even in our later years. People who cut back on alcohol often report clearer thinking, better sleep, more energy, and even improved mood within just a couple of weeks. Imagine waking up feeling sharper, more focused, and more in control, just from one small change. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. These 6 foods, processed meats, sugary treats, refined carbs, inflammatory oils, artificial sweeteners, and alcohol aren't just random ingredients. They share something in common. They all promote inflammation, oxidative stress, or blood sugar instability, all of which are enemies of a healthy, aging brain. But here's the good news. Just as certain foods speed up brain aging, others can slow it down, or even reverse some of the damage. Think of leafy greens like spinach and kale, healthy fats from walnuts and avocados, antioxidant-rich berries, turmeric, wild salmon, green tea. These are brain-loving superstars, and the more of those you add to your plate, the more resilience and clarity you build. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Maybe tomorrow you skip the bacon and fry up some eggs with spinach instead. Maybe you reach for a handful of almonds instead of a cookie. Maybe tonight you trade your wine for herbal tea and give your brain the gift of deep, restorative sleep. These are small, everyday choices, but over time, they shape your future. And think about what's at stake. Your memories, your stories, your independence, the ability to think clearly, make decisions, and stay connected to the people you love. That's what this is really about. Not restriction or rules, but preservation of your freedom, your dignity, your spark. If you've watched this far, I want to thank you. You're already doing something that most people never take the time to do. You're investing in yourself, in your mind, in your well-being. And that kind of awareness is powerful. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one food from this list that you eat often? And what's one swap you're willing to try this week? Share it in the comments below. Let's support each other in making smarter, more conscious choices. Sometimes all it takes is one change to start feeling better. And if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. That small click tells YouTube to show it to more people who need this message. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's so much more to come, and I'd love for you to be part of this journey. You are never too old to improve, never too old to change, and never too old to feel good, really good again. You still have so much to live, to give, and to enjoy. Here's to protecting your brain, honoring your health, and living your fullest life, one bite at a time.